go. Yeah. Get up, nah I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
Hello, Chicago. Welcome into the Chicago Sports Podcast. We got a packed house here tonight. Sean, Brian, and Darius there at the bottom. We're going to be covering a little bit of Bears here. We're going to talk a little bit of Will Campbell, what some people are talking about, maybe him heading to the Bears there in this year's draft in 2025. And then we're going to jump into March Madness, the bracket. The big dance kicks off tomorrow, 11:15 a.m., when Louisville will play Creighton. And I think everyone gets the most excited for that first game, the big dance. That's when it all tips off. Everything starts. But before we get into it, appreciate everyone tuning in here right away. Got 5 people already. If you're new here, hit the like button, comment, subscribe down below. Hit the notification bell because there's only about a month now until the draft. It came up pretty fast, and you're not going to want to miss any new draft news coming up. We'll have it all right here on the Chicago Sports Podcast. Before we get into Will Campbell, though, how you guys all doing tonight?
Living the dream, man.
Doing well.
Awesome, man.
I'm ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we all are. I think it's the biggest sports day in America. I know people look at the Super Bowl, but for the 99% of the country, that team isn't playing in the Super Bowl. I think March Madness wins.
Yes, indeed.
I'm a Bears fan. I look forward to free agency the first day.
I look forward to the offseason,
right?
Yeah, one of the
Very
big
exciting
topics.
time, man.
Yeah, one of the big topics of offseason, though, who are the Bears going to take at number 10, right, fellas? I mean, it's a big pick, a top 10 pick. The Bears are looking to become a competitive football team next year. You need someone to add to this football team that's going to really kick this team into the next gear, start winning football games on the field, because I think we're all tired of the talk in the offseason about where this team's headed. We need to see them start winning games, and it starts there at pick number 10. Will Campbell seems to be the big topic of discussion for them tonight. A lot of more mock drafts have us taking Campbell at number 10. I think we'll go down the row here. Sean, we'll start with you. What do you think about Will Campbell?
I think he's a good prospect, but for the Chicago Bears, I don't really see that he meets the needs. I was just on another show a couple minutes ago, and we looked it up. Most of the pundits have him moving over to guard. If the Bears are looking, the way the Bears have re-signed everybody so far, Bill Murray, Matt Pryor, Doug Kramer, they've seemed to stock everything except for a backup left tackle. So if you're going to look there, for me, it would either be trading back for Joshua Simmons or just taking the big man from Texas and Calvin Banks.
I mean, I agree. He doesn't really fit what they're looking for. I like Will Campbell a lot, but I mean, everybody knew coming into the, even before the combine that his arms are going to measure under 33 inches. I think they said that they've had 0 all pros at left tackle that were under 33 and a half inches. So he kind of fits that Peter Skoronski mold from a couple years ago, where he was the best left tackle in college. And then they had to move him inside the guard because regardless of how tactical and, how big of a technician he was at the left tackle spot, so by the time he got to the NFL, his arms were just too short, and he can't do nothing for him other than move him inside. So he's probably going to be a left guard somewhere. He really doesn't fit what we're looking for. Honestly, if Genty's not there, if the Raiders take him like everybody says, they're going to probably kick back. I imagine they're going to look to trade that pick, and thank God Jackson Dart's moving up in the chart.
Yes.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, taking a tackle at 10 that's going to have to sit the bench and wait. I don't want a player that's going to have to sit and wait. If we're going to take a pick at 10, I need that guy to come in and make an immediate impact. So taking an offensive lineman, at 10 is not the thing to do for me. But I do understand how most Bears fans are still in a state of shock because Caleb was sacked so many times. But the Bears did a wonderful job this offseason addressing the offensive line. and they can also address someone that can be groomed and learn from veterans in the second or third round. There are some very good tackles out there, especially from on the left side in the later rounds. So jumping out there and getting a Banks or getting a Will Campbell, I just don't think you at 10. I just don't think this is a thing to do. Now, if you trade back and like Sean was saying, grab a guy like a Joshua Simmons, who's also an excellent left tackle, I wouldn't be upset with that. But to take a left tackle at 10 that's not going to play, I just don't understand that logic.
Yeah, you guys all brought up a lot of good points. Darius saying, why draft someone if he's not going to start on day one? Sean saying you'd rather just take the true left tackle instead of someone that has the guard question mark. And Brian talking about we kind of knew he was already going to be a guard. I think people are still trying to prop him up as a tackle, even though it seems unlikely. And this stat stood out to me. Guy Brett Coleman on Twitter posts a lot of draft stats, and he just did one pressure rates allowed amongst offensive tackles in this draft class on true drop back passes, which is kind of takes out your screens, RPOs, or no RPOs and no play action. Will Campbell is way down on this list, fellas. He's down there at like a 4 or 5%, and you got guys way above him. I mean, you're Kelvin Banks, Josh Connolly up there around 2%. Armin Membu's under 2%. Wyatt Milam's down there. I mean, Campbell's smashing between Anthony Belton and Brandon Crenshaw Dixon. Two guys I've never even heard of. So I'm not exactly sure that's about the biggest stamp of approval right there for Will Campbell at tackle. And it does kind of feel like he's going to end up moving into guard. But I do bring Darius kind of mentioned it. Would it be something you'd be looking at if the Bears traded back theoretically?
Yeah, and to be honest, Josh Connerly was in for a top 30 visit to Hallis Hall, so there you go. Maybe they're looking at him as well. I think you could probably get him at 39 or 41. But I definitely do think that trading back and look, guys, I've been a proponent on every show I've been on. I back Joshua Simmons. I love this guy. I know he has the injury. His the 26th, I believe, is Ohio State's pro day. If his medicals check out there and you could trade back and you can get this guy, dude, you got your left tackle anchor for the next decade. He's everything that you want in a left tackle: size, arm length, body type. I mean, and if he didn't get hurt in November, he would have been a top 5 pick in this draft. He wouldn't have been an option for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
So for me, I love the trade back. Pick up another draft pick. Then you can add some depth later in this draft, and you're still adding your tackle who can sit behind Braxton Jones for a year while his contract's up. Because let's be honest, guys, who wants to sign Braxton Jones next year for $20+ million? Anyone on this panel?
Yeah, not yet.
Man,
Not
he's
yet.
gonna have an opportunity to prove himself. You know what I'm saying? That's for sure. He's gonna have an opportunity to prove himself, and that's all you can ask for. Now, Crenshaw Dickinson is a mountain of a man, and he's a pretty good left tackle to me from the University of Florida. He's very good. He doesn't have the impressive. He doesn't have the impressive look like a Joshua Simmons or even a Connolly for that matter, but he does his job. He's nasty too.
Yeah, I agree. He's not bad. I do like Crenshaw Dixon a lot, but you're probably going to get him later in the rounds. It's like
Yeah.
round 6 or so, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, way back there.
He's
Yeah,
moving up.
I really like Gray Zabel too. If you could trade back, grab him. Maybe move some picks, some picks, and still move up to get a Hampton or something like that as a running back. I mean, you get away with those two guys, you're doing something solid. But Simmons is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, dude's a dog.
The other guy I like too is Irsay from Minnesota, and you could get him in the third round. So
yeah, another mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I have a question for you guys, man. It's something that's been bothering me for a while. I have an issue with the tweener. And maybe because I'm traumatized because of all the Bears drafted, they always try to make them tweeners, and they get drafted as tackles, then they want to move them to guards and centers. You got centers that got to play left tackle on certain days. Like, I'm done with that. I need guys that's natural. You know what I'm saying? Now, versatility, a guy being versatile is one thing, But you just putting the guy out there because of his measurements and you saying, hey, he can do this for this game is some bullshit. Excuse the
Mm-hmm.
language. As you seen, as you seen in the Super Bowl, putting Tooney at left tackle was malpractice.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Yeah.
Regardless of what he did throughout the year, man, you can't. I mean, you can't do that, man. That's just not right. And he looked very bad. He looked very bad. That's the worst I've ever seen him look. But I just wanted to say I'm done with the tweeners and all that. I think it's crazy to go that route. If a guy plays left tackle, let's get a guy that plays left tackle.
I
You
agree.
know,
Yeah, I'm with you on that
Mhm.
one, Darius. But I mean, want to just shout out everyone in the chat that's been here so far. See Converted, Bear, Ant Mass, always in here. Cheryl, Honey Bear, and Brandon. What's up, everybody in the chat? And if you are new here, just tuning in, be sure to hit the like button, comment, subscribe. If you are new, be sure to hit that notification bell. We'll be talking more Bears. But I think, fellas, we're going to make the transition here into the NCAA tournament. Mentioned that's going to tip off tomorrow. The first round will tip off. I mean, first fours already started. Had a really good 16 seed game. I mean, those two teams put on a show last night with Alabama State and St.
Mhm.
Francis,
yeah.
and it's going to continue in here. The 16 seed game, not the greatest tonight, but Austin, Texas should be a little bit better. But before we get into it, I want to shout out the sponsor of today's episode. It's tournament time for Wanna Parlay. That's WANNA. Again, WANNA. Absolute largest payout on parlays. You can compete against us, everyone here on the Chicago Sports Podcast. Listeners, combine a few picks, build the best parlay, and that chat feature allows you to brag on a leaderboard, see all of our picks. You can just bet $2 only. That's nothing in today's society. It's a blast, so simple to use. There are new basketball, hockey, baseball, and obviously with March Madness tomorrow, lots of college basketball will be out there. Plus, they're always free to play games too. Makes watching March Madness just a little bit better when you have something to root for that isn't just your bracket. If you want to help participate, download the Wanna Parlay app. Again, WANNA. Click around, decide to upload any money from your account. Be sure to use the promo code TRACKS. That's TRACKS, TRACKS, for a 100% deposit match that up to $250. Hey, you only want to put in 20, $25. They'll give you a free 20, 25 extra dollars. You're playing with a little bit of house money there to start off instead of just on your own. So if you want to play, be sure to use promo code TRACKS before you deposit. And let's start playing with the world's richest parlay today. You must be 18 years or older to play. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER today. Now, with that out of the way, fellas, we should have a really good bracket coming up tomorrow. Let's look at some of the players, though, playing for some of these teams. There's stars everywhere in all of these regions. We were talking about a little bit about it before the show. Some of these regions a little bit tougher to point out the better players. We'll start with maybe the little more easier ones. So let's start off in the top left corner, the South region of this bracket, where Auburn comes in as the number one overall team in the tournament. Start off with you, Sean, not just with Auburn, maybe, although I think we know who's going to be the best player in this region from Auburn. Who are some players that you're looking at here in this region?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been backing the Yale Bulldogs, and I love Mez Mbang and I love Pocahontas on that team. That
Yeah.
matchup between Mbang and Taylor is going to be a phenomenal one.
Yeah.
Mbang, a 6'4" combo guard, Ivy League player, named Ivy League player and defensive player of the year, holds a program record for steals at 191, had 48 this year, averages 2 a game. And his partner over there, Mr. Pocahontas, can light it up from 3. I believe he had 29 in the Ivy League championship game. This is I love this team. I think it's uber talented and very underrated. If I continue to look down in that South bracket, I'm going to stay away from the Auburn guys because we know who's there.
Mm-hmm.
My other big guy in this bracket, and I have him picked. And if no one has watched this guy play, go check out some highlights of Donovan Dent at New
Yes.
Mexico. This guy is an outstanding guard.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I have him pulling the upset, leading his team in the first round. I already put money on him on the Wanna Parlay app, guys. So hop up on there, take them on the money line. Donovan Dent is a winner. He's one of my favorite players in this South bracket.
Um, for me, I mean, we all know what Auburn has. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
practically like no smut on their name, but they're practically playing. They're a G League team playing against these other college kids. You know,
Yeah.
they have a bunch of 20-year-olds playing on their team, but I mean, the undisputed guy over there is not Brown. What more can you say? 19 and 11. You know, double machine, can also hit the 3-point shot. One of my favorite players throughout this year, even though he's a stat stuffer, so every once in a while he just blows you out of the water. But that's Danny Wolf in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Wolf is an excellent big, very skilled, can beat you inside and out, can also play with his back to the basket, can take you off the dribble. Very impressive, has a very sweet touch from the outside. He became one of my favorite players as the year went on. Um, Also, those guys in Yale, like Sean mentioned, them guys got a clip and they don't mind emptying it, man. It's rough when guys can shoot like that, man. I'm telling you, I've been a part of some situations where they guys just couldn't miss, and you can't win that way. So, and it's very deflating if you ever get to find yourself in that situation. Um, Let me see, one more guy I was thinking about. Dang it, the point guard in Louisville, Chucky, Chucky Hepburn.
Chucky
Hepburn.
Hepburn.
Yes, listen. In college basketball, a lot of these pure points are not putting up a whole bunch of a whole bunch of stats in the points department. But what they do as a collective with the points and assists and leading these teams and putting guys in the right position to be successful, that's something that money can't buy. And you can judge guys, like you can tell how great the guys are and how they affect the game without putting the ball in the basket. And Chucky Hepburn is one of those guys in this region over here in the South.
Mhm.
Well, that's it for me.
Yes, Louisville, man. I'm not big on players, so I mean, I'm bigger on teams. But Louisville, the fact that they're lined up on Creighton, that is kind of a travesty here. They're extremely pissed, to
Yeah.
say the least. They're gonna. I mean, that's the surefire win of the whole bracket right there. Is Louisville is going to beat the brakes off of Creighton. You can bet your house
Ooh.
on that. You can bet your house on that.
Ooh.
That game's going to get out of hand, and it's going to get out of hand fast.
There we go.
You think so, Brian?
Yeah, Creighton's going to have a bad day that day.
I got Creighton winning. I love
Oh,
Yeah, me
they are
too.
not.
I
It,
like
it really doesn't matter. Auburn and Michigan State are the two teams that are going to go to that Elite Eight. I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, it's Thanos at that point. I mean,
Yeah.
they're gonna those two teams are gonna match up in the Elite Eight. I mean, that's all to say about the South bracket. That's just what's gonna happen.
I also pick Louisville there with Brian. I think location matters a little bit there with that game being in Kentucky. They haven't been in the
Yeah.
tournament in 6 years. I think it's going to be a little bit of a sea of red in that stadium. But if Creighton does pull off that game, I think they might be able to trip up Auburn. I wouldn't pick it.
Ooh.
But with Ryan Kalkbrenner on Creighton, trust the way that you beat Auburn is if you try to put a guy on Broom, their offense slows down a little bit. Ryan Kalkbrenner doesn't get much better of a matchup to do that with. 19 points per game, 8 rebounds per game. There was a stretch, and I think January, February, he was averaging 30 per game through like a stretch of 4 games or something. He went absolutely crazy. Probably the best player in the month of January, honestly, in all of college basketball. If they're able to get by Louisville, that second round game for Auburn, I think becomes much more difficult than it would if it were to be Louisville. I still think Louisville is heavily underseeded, and I'm with Brian. They should be very pissed off because I thought they were going to be on like the 6 line. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
travesty.
Yeah, that's all the news here. I mean, I live just outside of Louisville, and they are extremely pissed. They ain't gonna take that game lightly. They're coming out to prove a point.
Yeah,
So
I understand. But I'm telling you, like I just mentioned earlier, man, them guys come out there hitting them threes, and it's gonna be rough. But that's gonna be. I think that might be the best. That might be the best game of the first round, though. To be honest with you, I think that's gonna
Yeah.
be a good one.
And that
And
game will tip off tomorrow at 11:15. So be up and early for maybe the game of the tournament.
I'll tell you this too. Pat Kelsey, I believe, is 0-4 in the NCAA tournament. So there's a little factoid on Mr. Kelsey. Not saying everyone's got to get their first win sometime, but
Yeah.
he hasn't yet. And really quick, I talked about Donovan Dent. His counterpart in that game is probably my second favorite matchup, with matching up against Cam Jones. Both of these guys average 20 points a game. That's going to be a fantastic guard-on-guard matchup in the first round, guys.
Yeah, and a guy that just snuck in there last night, RJ Davis for North Carolina.
Mhm.
He shows up in March. I mean, I don't think North Carolina deserved to get in, but I think they may have proved why they got the little nod from the committee. Again, I'll always disagree with the decision, but hey, if they go on a little bit of a run here, I look at RJ Davis as the main reason why. He always shows up in March. He has over the past couple of years. He's the main reason why that UNC team went to the national championship a couple years ago. Him and Caleb Love, they tore it up there at North Carolina. I think Love maybe a little bit more to do with that, but RJ Davis, one of the best guards in the entire country. I think we've summed up a little bit of the South, though. Want to shout out people in the chat. James, always rocking with us, and Crooked Kamish as well. Kamish asking, who's our dark horse for this tournament? I think we can get into this a little bit before we head over to the next region of players. I think we'll just name a name or two maybe we have going a little bit far. Let's go over with you, Brian. Who you got going further? Let's do double digit seeds. I think those are the dark horses.
Oh, the double digits.
Yeah.
Let's see who I got here. Arkansas is going out hard. I'm hoping Kansas destroys them, so let's not go there.
Me too, Brian. Me too.
I already know that's right. Oh gosh, who I got going farthest on those double digits? Let's see here. I really don't have anybody going for these double digits. North Carolina's going to have some experience, but they ain't getting past Ole Miss. I don't know. Let's go with. I ain't got anybody.
Hey, if you don't got anybody, you don't got anybody.
He's staying chalk.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sitting there looking at my bracket, and I don't have any of them. Yeah, we're not going that hard. High Point's a little. I mean, they ain't gonna get past Purdue, but they're a little hyped up right now as far as being the first time they're getting to get in a tournament and all that stuff. So they could come out firing. Who knows? They could pull out the Oakland like against Kentucky last year and just get streaky, get hot, and start blasting them. But I don't think they're gonna beat Purdue. Purdue, even with their record in the tournament, just not very good. But yeah, I mean, I really don't have that far of a dark horse.
Yeah.
I mean, Tennessee's gonna. I mean, as far as early picks going down early, I guess Tennessee will go down pretty early. I don't think they're going to get past UCLA. That's a 7.
There you go.
Yeah, that's about the biggest upset as far as taking one distance. I got is UCLA.
For me, like Sean mentioned earlier, New Mexico, man.
Yeah,
New Mexico can easily get to the Sweet 16 and possibly with the Elite Eight. They have Donovan Dent. They also have Junior Nelly Junior Joseph,
Yeah.
the double machine.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like 15 and 11. He's a monster down there. You know, they rebound, backcourt solid. It's not great, but it's solid. Um, but having a guy like that can put it up, 21 points a game in college basketball, it may not seem like a lot, but it definitely is. Those guys play two halves, and if you got a guy putting it up and getting 20 or better, you got something.
Yeah.
So New Mexico at the 10th seed can be very scary.
I got a couple for you guys. I actually have UCLA going down. Utah State can shoot the rock,
Oh
but
wow.
UCLA also struggles to score, and Utah State plays a very, very unique zone defense, which is going to muck that game up for UCLA a little bit. I don't have them beating Tennessee, but the other one I kind of gave away in the first segment there. I love the Yale Bulldogs. I have them making it to the Sweet 16 against Auburn. And then one that people might not really know about, Tayshaun Gilbert is going to be out for the Iowa State Cyclones. And Lincecum, Lincecum, or however you say their name, uh,
Yeah.
Gilbert was their best. Number one, Gilbert was their best on-ball defender. Number one, he's their the team's second leading scorer, I believe, as well. And when it comes to Lincecum, these guys, what they do is they absolutely hunt from deep. They make 10 3-pointers a game, and they cash in at the stripe, shooting 80%. On Lincecum, they have a 41, a 35, a 43, a 39, and a 33% three-point shooter. They're going to hunt, and if they're hot, Iowa State could be in trouble in this first round. So those are my three: Yale, Utah State, and I'm not saying Lincecum. I'm going to stick with my other two. I'm just saying if you want to throw a little money, I'd want to play on a on a money line guy. You
Yeah.
might not. Lincecum, why not, right?
Right.
Yes,
That's a good one.
Sean, every year I've taken a 14 over a 3. I think it just more of like the fun part of it. Like
Yeah.
I want to try and root for a big upset. That's the one I settled on. It was between them or Troy, but with the Keyshawn Gilbert injury, and you mentioned they can rain it from deep. All it takes is one hot day.
Yep.
All it takes is one hot day from your shooters. Iowa State could be a little vulnerable without Gilbert. Not sure how that offense is going to look. If they're hot, I could see it. I could see it, and I'm going to just root for it. It'll be fun. But either way, I don't think I care too much about that because I got 3 double-digit seeds in my Sweet 16, and the
Woo!
other one's right there with North Carolina. I did not
Seriously?
want to pick that because I honestly didn't think they were this good. But looking at Torvik, which is just one of it's like a Ken Palm
Yeah.
for those probably more familiar with that. Over the last 10 games, they've been the 10th best offense in the country, and I believe it was 41st defense, which is a lot better than their full season projection. So they're playing their best basketball now, and the talent is there. Also, I mean, I think Ole Miss can be a little stagnant at times. Chris Beard's a good coach, but I think
Yeah.
his talent isn't right there with them. And they get the matchup against Lipscomb. I'll take that to the Sweet 16. Yale is the other one. Sean mentioned a lot of their top players there. I think that quad matches up really well for them as well. Plays into the weakness. I think if they get teams that don't shoot the 3-point ball well, which A&M, Michigan, and UC San Diego can a little bit better than the other teams, but overall, I like their matchup there. And the other one's VCU. I talked a little bit about this right after the selection show. They are another criminally underseeded team. They're probably more like a 6-7 and got slotted on the 11 line. BYU's got to be pissed off with that matchup.
Yeah.
I really like them against BYU, and then I think Wisconsin's fraudulent, so I'll take VCU to beat them.
Yeah. I'd like to add, I mean, you guys are screaming Yale, and rightfully so, but they're going to have to deal with Wade Taylor the fourth.
Yep.
They're going to have to deal with him and Zurich Phelps as well. Like they're going to have to deal with them. And those guys, listen, Buzz Williams. I don't know if you guys have any history on him, but he's a very good coach.
Yeah.
And he's going to get in those guys' butt, and they're going to come. They listen. That backcourt is something to deal with.
Yale's got a
Yeah.
good backcourt.
Mhm.
Membing's going to be a problem for Taylor. That's what I said. That's my favorite matchup in the first round. Membing versus Wade Taylor. I can't wait to
Yeah.
see those two guys clash.
All right, fellas, I think we'll shift over to the East here, where Duke is the number 1 overall seed in that region. Got Alabama down as the 2 seed. Looking across this region, there are still a lot of talented players over this region. I mean, I think we all know who the most talented player in this region is coming out of Duke with Cooper Flagg. He's currently the favorite to win the Wooden Award, and he absolutely should. His status still a little bit up in the air. He had that bad sprained ankle in the ACC tournament where he left the game, did not return to the game or the rest of the tournament, still up in the air a little bit. I haven't seen an update on him. I'm not sure if anyone else has. I think it's kind of been thought that he'd be okay for this game, but outside of Cooper Flagg, since he's the easy cop-out answer, who else are we looking at here in the East region? Sean, kick it off.
In this region, there's a few. You just touched on the VCU matchup. I
Mhm.
really like Richie Saunders, man. He can shoot the rock. He's the straw that stirs that drink. And if I go up to that 8-9 matchup, VJ Edgecombe, man, he's the real deal. Like that dude is legit as legit can be.
Could be a lottery pick.
Yeah, and those are the kind of guys that you look for. I mean, I don't know if they have enough to match up against Duke in that second round if they can get past Mississippi State. But the other guy who showed out, and this is actually I have him in the lower half of this bracket. I have them upsetting Alabama as watching John Tajay from Wisconsin. This isn't your same, you know, normal struggle to score Wisconsin team, man. They can get
Mhm.
up, they can score on you. And Tajay, he ran out of gas in the Big Ten tournament, but he's gonna get some rest. He's gonna get his legs back. And man, that dude could ball, dude. So those are my three guys that I'm looking at. I know they're a 3C, but I do like Tajay a lot and Edgecombe, and then going back to I forgot the other Richie Saunders.
Yeah, I like those three you got there. I'm also looking at those guys, but Mark Sears from Alabama, he's coming with it. That little guy, he got little man syndrome, so he's coming. You know what I'm saying? He's angry, you know, and he plays angry. Fierce competitor, excellent player. Another guy that his father was a pro, Augustus Marshallonis
Oh yeah.
at St. Mary's. Very good player, very savvy. Um, Lee St. Mary's, they have an even team, but he stands out. If you ever watch him, he stands out. He sticks out like a sore thumb. Very excellent player. Um, Someone else to look out for. I can't remember if I got the right region, but those guys, the guy VCU. What is his name? Oh God, I had it. I should have named him first before Marcellonis. But ah, um
Benicio or Joe
uh
Benicio? Is it him?
Max Schugler. I think I
Yeah.
said his name right.
Chugla, yeah.
Yeah. Very good player, man. He's very heady, man. I like heady guys, man, that can play the game. Does a lot of things very well. Can beat you all kind of ways. He's one of those guys. He's a little older, but he's a very excellent player as well.
I think at center for Duke, I can't remember his name right now, but that dude's a problem.
Yeah,
I don't think it's Cooper Flagg is the main. I mean, he's going to get all the accolades and all that stuff because he's the one that's doing all the scoring. But Duke's whole offense and everything, their whole game plan revolves around that center. You get him in foul trouble, Duke's as good as done. I mean, Cooper Flagg's not going to make up for the loss of that guy. He is that team. I don't think that he gets enough credit where he deserves. Just deserve credit there. Um, Vanderbilt could be an issue in this division. I don't know which Vanderbilt's going to show up. So,
That's the problem.
yeah, yeah.
but I mean, Alabama is another one. I mean, they just get hot, but zero defense whatsoever. They're going to put up 96, but allow 84.
Yeah.
It's just kind of where they're at. Yeah, but I mean, the main guy I see in that is that center for Duke. He's just, I mean, he's on another level. I mean, I don't know why he doesn't get the publicity that Cooper Flag does. It's completely deserved, and he needs to get that credit. But if Mississippi State or Baylor can get him in foul trouble, they got a chance to going down.
Mm.
Guy on that number 4 team, Caleb Love. And I mean, this is a guy that if you want to talk about hot and cold, like
Yeah,
which Caleb Love is going to show up in March,
that's
that's probably
indeed.
the difference between Arizona, maybe even bowing out game 1 against Akron or even making
Woo,
it
the
to the Sweet
Zips.
16. I'm not going to pick that. I think I'm not sold on Akron whatsoever, but I'm just saying, like, Caleb Love has one of those 2 for 19 games where he struggles to shoot. They could bow out early, and I think it was Darius talking about Wade Taylor earlier. I don't think he's as bad as Caleb Love, but Wade Taylor's a little bit subject to a game like that as well, where maybe he can shoot like 5 of 16. He can kind of sink your team more than help them, but with a team like that, you kind of have to rely on those guys and just trust they're going to step up in the moment. But Caleb Love, obviously, he was the main catalyst of that North Carolina team that shockingly went to the national championship a few years ago, kind of carried them all the way. I think a lot people expected more out of him last year. They bowed out early to Clemson in the Sweet 16, I think. And now this year, he's got one last shot because it feels like the dude's 28 years old and needs to get a job. So this is his last run at getting back to the national championship. So I think he's got one more run in him. I'm not sure they can get past Duke, but I'll take him to the Sweet 16 on the back of Caleb Love.
Hey, and check it out. I want to give a shout out to Three Guard University. If you don't know who that is, that's Baylor.
Yeah.
Baylor has some great athletes playing with them this season. You know, these guys, now traditionally we all know them as having good backcourts, very defensive minded, but they have a guy up front, Norchad or Mir Norshine,
Yeah.
rebounding machine, double machine, and then VJ Eshcom. VJ Eshcom, he was just as highly touted as Cooper Flagg. He represented his country as well in the Olympics. You know what I'm saying? And he got the same Olympic experience as Cooper Flagg had, pretty much. But Baylor's gonna come. We got the ex-Duke Blue Devil veteran in the backcourt, Jeremy Roach. Very well coached group. They're gonna be dangerous. But yeah, those guys at Baylor, Three-Guard University is what I call them.
They're pretty good, man. I like Baylor.
All right. I think we knocked out the easy ones, fellas. We're going to get into a little bit of the tougher one. Obviously,
Ooh.
two wooden players, John I. Broome, Cooper Flagg. I think Flagg is still the favorite. I think he will end up winning it. But once again, shout out everybody in the chat that's still been sticking with us here. A little bit of late bracketology. If you're still haven't printed out your bracket, anything you've been slacking or you've been busy with work, hopefully this will help you fill it out for it. Tips off tomorrow at 11:15 a.m. And if you like what we're talking about and even want to throw some money on it, be sure to download Wanna Parlay. That's WANNA. Wanna Parlay. Make sure to use code TRACKS if you deposit. They'll match it 100%. Means if you throw just $25, $30 in the app, they'll give you whatever you deposit back at you. It's a little bit of house money to throw on some of these games. Make them a little bit more exciting. Well, I think we'll just go head straight south into the Midwest region, where I think this could get chaotic overall as a region. I don't have it playing out like that in my bracket, surprisingly, but if you told me some of these teams ended up causing chaos, I would not be surprised, and it's much harder to pick a best player out of this region because they aren't as obvious as Broome or Flagg are. Start with you, Darius. Who's the guy that you got your eyes on? Maybe carry a team into the Elite Eight, Final Four even.
I got two, man, and they're both point guards. That's Braden Smith out of Purdue and Andrew Nemhard out of Gonzaga.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way both of these guys play. I love the way they lead. Their tenacity on both ends of the court. I listen. I'm a fool for point guard play if you can't tell already, but because I truly feel like to advance and be successful in this NCAA tournament, guard plays you have to have excellent guard play. But yeah, those two guys for me are the guys to look out for. And also look, I don't want to slight my man in Tennessee though. He's been there a while. He's another heady player, tough-minded player.
Ziegler?
Yeah.
Sakai
Very
Ziegler?
good
Yep.
player. Very good player. But Braden Smith and Nemhard are on the top of my list in this region.
Okay.
How about you, Sean?
Well, I got a few in this region. I'll start with the number one. I think Milos Uzan is going to be the straw that stirs that drink and gets Calvin Sampson. I know they're very talented with Roberts and Tugler and LJ Cryer, but Uzan is the guy that's going to propel this team, in my opinion, to the Final Four and into the national championship game this year. And really quick for me, Houston's the only team in this entire tournament that makes you play the way they want you to play. They bring you down to their level. They're a really good basketball team. But if I'm moving down, I'm going to stick in my home state, man. ILLINI. I love Jaconis. I love Will Riley. And I love Isevic. So these guys can get hot. Illinois could play with anybody in the country. I know that they've had some bad losses this year, but go inside those games. those were incomplete games. Either Jaconis was missing or this guy was
Mhm.
missing, and they weren't. When they play as a unit, man, they can hang with anybody. Um, if I'm looking down, blah, 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 blah. I love the guard at Utah State. Give me a second. I'm trying to think of his name. Ian Martinez, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, he averaged about 17 points a game, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. I mean, he could be absolutely lethal. I like Utah State in that upset, but my favorite player in this entire region, and he is a straight freaking baller, and I'm watching him right now ball out in this Texas Xavier game, is Trey Johnson. If
Yep.
you guys haven't seen this dude play, this is a guy that can take a team all the way to the Final Four on his back. He's going to be a lottery pick. I'm assuming he's going to be a lottery pick. He is so gosh darn talented.
Mhm.
May even go to the Bulls. Never know.
Yeah, he could. He would be a difference maker for him. So those are my guys. I like Illinois in this bracket. I'm sticking with Houston. I love that lineup. I love Uzan, and I like Ian Martinez. I think Tennessee will beat Utah State, but I think Utah State is going to give Tennessee everything that they want.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you something else, man. And like you mentioned about Illinois, I think Illinois can make it all the way to the dance, man.
I agree.
Like with them, the power is truly in the numbers. You know what I'm saying? They have excellent depth, but they need everybody in uniform and ready to
Yeah.
play when it's time, man. They have a very heady team, man, and they're dangerous, man. They're very dangerous.
I'll tell you, there aren't people popping bottles if you see Illinois on that line. I can
Yeah.
tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I tell
Not at
you,
all.
that's real. That's real.
Yeah, my team's in this bracket. I'm in this side too. I got to speak on Lamont Butler a little bit. I know he hurt
There
his
you go.
shoulder. He left, came back, re-injured his shoulder. He got clearance to play for the SEC tournament, but they just decided to hold him out. So they got railed by Alabama. So that's what everybody's going to see. I want to see how much rust he's got. From how bad he's going to be. But he is the catalyst of the UK. Like they've already proven over and over again, they beat the heavy teams, lose to the crappy ones. So Troy could be a problem for them. But if they get to Tennessee, if they get to Houston, those teams are going down. It's the little teams that's going to take out UK. It really just depends on how Lamont Butler's feeling there. Um,
Hey, Brian, really quick, can I ask
yeah,
you a question? Is Jackson Robinson out for the tournament?
I
Yeah,
have
he
not
is. I
heard.
think he is.
He is.
Yeah,
Okay.
is
Yeah.
he? Yeah, I have not heard. The game that I'm excited to see on this one, though, there's no bracket that I filled out that I don't want to see Houston and Gonzaga. I really want to see that game more
Yeah.
than any game in in this bracket. I mean, everything goes to it, and the fact that Georgia could have a puncher's chance of beating Gonzaga is really hurting my feelings right now. But
Mm.
I just really want to see that game. But yeah, as far as players go, Lamont Butler's he's my player to watch just for the fact that he could be injured, he could be rusty. I don't know where he's coming in, but they beat Tennessee twice this year already. So I mean, Tennessee's not getting out of that division if Lamont Butler's healthy.
Hey,
Uh,
Clemson ain't nothing to sneeze at either, though. Clemson,
Yeah, but they lost to Louisville, and it's
they did.
Here,
They
here,
did,
here.
and that was a good game too.
Hey,
it
Brian,
was Louisville's had a couple of good games. I'll give them that. I just hate them.
I'll tell you this, Brian. I'm really hoping that Kentucky and Illinois get a chance to match up. I think
I
that would
was
be
just
I
about to
love
say
that, man.
that.
yeah.
I was just about to say there might
God,
be 85, 93 pointers in that game. Shot. It would be literally watching an NBA game,
yeah.
and it would just come down to who makes them. I think that game would just be straight fireworks. And you already mentioned the Houston Gonzaga game as well. I mean, I'd be so pissed if I was Houston. Like this is a top 10 Ken Pom team, and every advanced metric loves Gonzaga, and they're an 8 seed. Like, come on. Like this is probably Kelvin Sampson's best team due to their offense, and they get absolutely screwed with a draw like that. I would say
Yeah,
though it'd be pretty funny if Georgia just ended up beating Gonzaga, because I think
Oh,
that would bust a lot
uh,
of brackets right off the rip.
yeah,
hey,
that'll destroy. And
hey,
shout out to
Brian.
the Bulldogs, man. Shout
Hey,
out to the
hmm
Brian.
Bulldogs. It's great
Asa
to see them.
Newell, really good freshman there for Georgia. But I'll shout out one guy that on a team that I'm not picking to win. I really like them out of the Big South though. I mean, out of that High Point team, I really was hoping they were going to get a good draw that I could pick them. If they got Maryland, I think I'd have picked them to beat Maryland. But
Ooh.
we just seen Keza Giffa. I think that's exactly how you say it. Out of High Point, averaging 15 a game. I mean, this is the 25th ranked offense in the country. Their depth is really good. The only problem with High Point is them and Purdue play basically the same exact basketball, and Purdue's just better at it. So I can't really pick the non-talented team to beat Purdue. But overall, Keza Giffa, if High Point does win, look out for him. He'd probably have the big game to pull off that upset.
Hey, Brian, really quick before we move on, I got Kentucky at 9.5. I think the line's up to 11.5. I bet them already. I think Kentucky's going to beat the brakes off of Troy.
I hope
think
so. Kentucky was they were my pick when I started out on my bets early in the year, because no matter who they played early, they were just beating the brakes off of them. I mean, they ran rush shot through everybody all the way through Duke. And then they got to the point where they just played down to their competition. I don't know what happened to them. They figured out Pope's coaching or what. But these smaller teams, even like teams like Georgia that shouldn't be on the court with them, I mean, they hung in with them for some reason, and Kentucky just opened up
Turnovers.
the door for the opportunity. Um,
Turnovers.
yeah. But Butler, I think he's, if he comes back though, God, I mean, they can go as far as they want. I mean, they just gotta, know who they're playing and take every game seriously.
Yeah, and if you really like Illinois, maybe to get past Kentucky, get a little bit further, be sure to use Wanna Parlay, WANNA.
Mm-hmm.
They'll match your deposit bonus when you sign up with Wanna Parlay. If you're a big Illinois fan, think they're going to get all the way, get hot there in the March tournament, able to make a little bit of money if they're able to do so. I think that'll sum it up there for the Midwest. A lot of good players there. And getting with the West, it gets a little bit better, I think, in terms of elite players in this
Yes.
region. But I think one area it certainly does get better in is elite coaches. I'm not sure there's a region that I've seen where coaching has just been so elite. I mean, Todd Golden doesn't have the best March experience, but he certainly had one of the best regular seasons. Can't talk about coaching without Dan Hurley, back-to-back champion. And then the bottom of the region, you have 3 Naismith Hall of Famers already with Calipari, Self, and Pitino. And that's without even forgetting, I'm blanking on his name right now, but the coach at Drake, he's going to be coaching a Power 5 program soon for someone else, a lucky program there. I mean, there's so many good coaches, but there's also so many really good players in this region, making it really hard to pick. Let's start with Brian. What teams are you looking at in this region? No, you're not the best with players, so who's the best team maybe to come out of here? Because I think there's a lot that really could.
Ben McCullough.
Well,
Yeah,
there's. I mean, Florida's obviously the no-brainer. They're strong, but the one I'm really rooting for, honestly, is St. John's. If Sean wants Kansas to take them out, so be it. I'd rather Sean to be happy here. But Patino is the X factor in that, like you said. Dude just knows how to coach. He's far and away better at coaching than everybody in the league. I don't know why. Calipari had his number, so Arkansas, if they get by, I don't think they have the horses though to beat them. Usually when he was, beating Patino regularly when he was at UK and they were at UVL, Patino was at UVL, it was Kentucky just had better players. I mean, Calipari coaches like shit. He's a politician, so I think Kansas is actually going to take him out. I'm shocked that they are even in the tournament, to be honest. I know they beat Kentucky, but that was kind of it shouldn't have happened. Like I said, they played down to their competition. Yeah, but St. John's is the team I'm looking at there. I would take St. John's and Florida in the Elite Eight here. Like you said, Maryland's pretty good. Texas Tech, they could do some damage. If they get streaky, if they get they have a chance. St. John's is still St. John's, but they just got Patino, so I'm going to take them all the way to the Elite Eight and face Florida. I'll probably take Florida in the Final Four.
Dan, Brandon in the chat talking about who has the best defense in the tournament. Brian just talked a lot about him. That's St. John's. I mean,
St. John's,
Mike
it's
Pitino's team
press.
suffocating. I mean, they can turn
Yes.
on at any moment, just decide you're done scoring.
What about
Patino been doing that thing a long time, man.
And nobody's figured it out.
Nobody.
I mean, I don't know how. I mean, it's better than that 1-3-1 that they used to run in Syracuse by far. I mean, he's just this full court suffocating press at St. John's, and it's unforgiving.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
unfortunate thing about Calipari in Arkansas, they just don't have an identity, man.
I
And
don't.
you can't win without an identity. Like you have to have something
Mhm.
that hang your hat on.
Yeah,
And
that coach though.
yeah, yeah. But like you said, Calipari, he's more of a recruiter than a coach,
Yeah,
and that's how he's been so successful. And that's also why he don't have the amount of championships he should.
Yep.
absolutely. Dude's a straight up politician. That's all he is.
Yeah.
So I think in this region, it's going to come down to just coaching matchups, and that's kind of why. I mean, players will play a big factor. There's a lot of good ones. I mean, the UConn team's coming off a national championship. Walter Clayton's a first team All American. There's even players that we haven't even mentioned. You got the Crab Five with Maryland, maybe the best starting lineup. Obviously, their bench isn't exactly the greatest there, but Derek Queen and those guys on Maryland, they can compete with any starting lineup in the country. I think you get a little
Indeed.
bit deeper though. I'd not look at Maryland's bench at all. I just look at their starting five. But
Mhm.
overall, here, who are some players we're looking at, fellas? Outside of St. John's, maybe.
Well, for me, Colorado State, dude. Nye Clifford, 40% from three, 19 points a game, 10 boards, 5.5 assists. You got Lake on that team and Kyan Evans. All three of them are deadly from three. Shoot over. Evans shoots 43%. To your point, Michael, I love this starting lineup of Maryland, Queen, Reese, Gillespie, Rice, Miguel. These guys are down. You know, when it comes to the tournament, anyways, when everyone's like, oh, they're not deep on the bench, they try to compress it anyways. They want to
Yeah.
hone in. You want your stars out there as much as you can. You know, maybe go if you were 9 deep, maybe compress that to 6 or 7 in the tournament. So I don't know that hurts Maryland too much. This might hurt you a little bit, Michael. But I think the number one player to watch out for is kind of Seth Curry-ish, is Bennett Sturts on Drake. That guy can
Yeah.
fill it up, man.
Yeah.
He is
Mhm.
fun to watch. I mean, if you watch his tape, he's taking shots that you think like he's exciting. Just check out his film. I don't know if they have enough to beat Missouri, but I'll tell you, Missouri and Drake is going to be one hell of a first round game. I really do
I
believe that.
agree.
I
So
like
again,
that. I like that Missouri team a lot. They're very scrappy, but like
Yeah, they
I
are.
said, Drake will be interesting to say the
It's going to be a
least.
fun one.
Yeah. Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
obviously, I can't pick Mizzou to lose first round. I hated the matchup when they first announced it. And obviously, on the selection show, I think the entire panel took Drake in this one. I think this might be the most popular 11/6, and pending this game tonight. I think it'll be a little bit funny because I think Mizzou might be the highest favored 6 seed to win from Vegas, and they'll be the most picked to lose. Obviously, Vegas doesn't know everything. I just kind of find that a little bit funny. But I think Missouri's got a fighting shot in this one. I mean, I think it'll all come down to who controls pace of play. Will it
Yeah.
be Missouri speeding it up or Drake slowing it down? Again, I'll lean with the Tigers, but just because I've seen their ceiling, truly an Elite Eight ceiling, but I just think the talent's there also as well compared to Drake. But Bennett Sturts, like you said, Sean, he can turn it up at any moment. He's going to get his own. It'll just be whether Missouri limits that to
Yeah.
the
He's
rest of the
definitely
team.
gonna have to. Drake is definitely gonna have to make shots. They definitely gonna have to
I'll
make
tell
shots.
you one other guy in this region that's a stud. I just don't know if they have enough of a team for them to beat UConn. Is Jeremiah Fears?
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
he's a stud, man. I don't know if they have enough to beat UConn. I actually, because I hate Hurley, I picked Oklahoma in every so I cannot stand Dan Hurley, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what happened. Who was that at the end where they pushed him, they dunked with the time running out at the
It was the Creighton game. I know
yeah,
exactly what you're
I
talking
loved it.
about though.
I loved it because I didn't UConn pull some shit in Creighton.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they were just paying him back, and that guy actually came out and apologized in this post gamer, which I wouldn't have done. I would have
Hell
pointed
no,
Mhm.
I
the
wouldn't have done it either.
finger. No, screw Dan Hurley, man. I hope they win. What was Loyola's coach? That's the coach of Oklahoma, guys. I can't remember his name right
Porter
now.
Moser. Porter
Porter
Moser.
Moser, yeah.
Yep.
I hope he puts it all together, man. He led Loyola, so take Oklahoma. The ride will be quick because they'll definitely get mopped by Florida.
Yeah.
I didn't like Dan Hurley as a player. So him as a coach, I don't care much for him. As far as another stud that we didn't name, and that's PJ Haggerty out of Memphis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dropped
Listen,
40 a couple of games ago.
this guy gets busy on both ends of the floor. He's a big guy, athletic, fast. He can shoot. He's the total package. I think they're going to suffer. The Colorado State game is going to be tough, especially without the other defensive guard that likes to shoot three. Can't his name escapes me right now, but I think he has a broken foot or a sprain, a bad ankle sprain, but I don't think he's going to be participating in this first round at least.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
think so.
injuries
And
can be killer.
I'm not listen. I love Penny Hardaway as a player, but as a coach, he irks me. He irks me. He irks me.
All right. I think we've got through the players here. I think that really leaves one thing left for us to do, fellas. Who's the Final Four and who's cutting down the Nets in San Antonio? We'll start at the top. We'll go down with here, and then I'll finish us off, and then we'll get out of here for the nice people can get to watching this Texas Xavier game. Sean, who's the Final Four for you?
And speaking of that, Texas is up 10, 36-26, 5:25 to go in the first half. For me, I could not get away from Florida being my national champion. I'm trying, but I do have Michigan State, Florida, Duke, and Houston. I got Houston beating Duke. I got Florida obviously beat Michigan State, Florida, and Houston. I have 6 pools. I think I have 5 Floridas and 1 Houston so far. I might change that ratio just a tad as I wrap things up here, but I'm really rooting for Kelvin Sampson. I mean, for him to be that Hall of Fame coach, I think the last I he has to dot is that national championship.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a story, that's a nice story coming out of this tournament that I would like to see. Even though he's Big 12, and I don't want anyone from the Big 12 if it's not Kansas winning a national championship.
All right, I got well, I got Alabama, Purdue, Auburn, and Florida in my Final Four. I've got Auburn and Alabama, the rivalry game, in my championship game.
Iron Bowl national championship. That would be something.
That's where I'm going. And every bracket, if I filled out 100 of these, every one of them is going to have Auburn winning.
Yeah. Who you got, Darius?
I got Duke, of course, and I'm going to surprise Sean, and I'm going to say that I truly do believe that Kansas had a chance to get to the Final Four.
Oh, jeez.
Look at that.
I know it's crazy, but with the backcourt play and their size, I think they can squeak through there, even though UConn scares me. And shout out to Coach McCray in Florida. That's one of my high school guys doing a heck of a job. I just don't think, as much as I want to go with Florida, I just cannot pull myself to do it. I can't. I like Kansas. That's Duke, Kansas. Shout out to Calvin Sampson. I'm gonna take Houston. And in the South region, man, gotta go with the G Leaguers at Auburn, man. Gotta go with the G Leaguers at Auburn, man.
Well,
alrighty.
Who you got, Michael?
Dude, was it you, Sean, that said the 35 KenPom rating stat where it's there's only been 4 since what do you know that off the top of your head?
Here, I'll give it to you. So there is where did I just had it? I was just looking at it. So yes, there is it's right here. So 95% of the winners are national champions are 21st or better in adjusted offensive efficiency. The outlier is 2014 UConn. 95% of the winners rank 37th or better in adjusted defensive efficiency margin. 100% are 44th or better. In this tournament, there's 10 teams that meet that criteria, or 9 teams, excuse me. Duke, third in offense, fourth in defense. Florida, first in offense, 10th in defense. Houston, 10th in offense, second in defense. Auburn, fourth or second in offense, 12th in defense. Tennessee, 18th in offense, third in defense. Alabama, fourth in offense, 32nd in defense. Texas Tech, sixth in offense, 37th in defense. Gonzaga, ninth in offense, 29th in defense. And Iowa State, 20th in offense and ninth in adjusted D. They're the only ones in this tournament that meet that criteria.
Yes, and with those teams at the top, Duke, Florida, Houston, Auburn, all 35 net rating. I think there's only been 4 teams, I want to say since 2001, that have met that, and there's 4 in this tournament, all 1 seeds. The farthest or the earliest those teams have bowed out before is the Final Four. So that's why I have 3 of those teams in my Final Four. I have Auburn, Duke, and Houston all in my Final Four just because of how loaded it is. And honestly, if you picked all 4 1 seeds to make the Final Four, it looks dumb. It looks like you didn't try. I can't
Right.
blame you for not doing that. Like these,
Yeah.
all 4 of these teams are legit super good. The
Yeah.
other one, the team that I had Florida losing to Maryland in mine, and I have Texas Tech beating Maryland in the Elite Eight to get to the Final Four. I think they come out of that West region. Auburn over Texas Tech in the and then Duke over Houston, and then Auburn winning it all. I went back on it. I had Duke over Auburn, I think on Selection Sunday. I changed it. I'm gonna go with Auburn. They were my team heading into conference tournaments. I'm gonna stick with my guns. I thought Duke was right behind them. I'm gonna stick with the 2 top guys I think had the best shot at winning it. So Auburn over Duke for me in the national championship.
I will tell you this, Michael, as you said that, and I do believe I'm still right and this still stands. And I know this stat because it was the Jayhawks who cut him down. I think there's only been one time in NCAA history where all 4 number 1 seeds met in the Final Four.
Yeah, I think
that was
what was it?
2008.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2008. Yep.
And the Jayhawks cut him down against Derrick Rose and the Memphis Tigers.
Yeah. And one thing about these number 1 seeds, man, you're gonna have to play damn near the perfect game to beat
Yeah.
them. Straight up and down. Like these guys, like each one of these teams at the top are very well coached. Disciplined for the most part, and they're gonna play defense, man. So you're gonna have to really get on your A game to beat them for sure.
Hey, and really quick too, 4 teams, and to Michael's point there, 4 teams that barely missed that criteria were Maryland at 28th in offense, 6th in defense, Michigan State 27th in offense, 5th in defense, Clemson 24th in offense, 16th in defense, and Illinois 15th in offense, 21st in defense. The teams that fall way out of that category is St. John's because they're 65th offensively, Missouri 73rd defensively, Kentucky 56th defensively, Texas A&M 44th offensively, Purdue 63rd defensively, Michigan 47th offensively, and Rock Chalk Jayhawk 48th offensively. So be cautious with your brackets, my friends. These are historical facts that reign true. So
yeah, I think that'll close it out. Went through all the regions, went through all the players, even a little bit more coaching there down in that West region just because of how prominent it is. But for Sean, Brian, and myself and the rest of the chat here, appreciate everyone that came out here. I see James, Brandon stuck around with us, Cheryl, Crooked, Kamish, Antmass, and there's a lot more people up. Cliff was here for a little while, saw Converted Bear as well, and even Honey Bear came in for a little while. And if you're still here and haven't already subscribed to the Chicago Sports Podcast, be sure to do so. We're just doing a little bit of a special here for March Madness. We'll be right back to the Bears, though, starting probably as soon as tomorrow morning. I'm sure Trax will have something to talk about for you guys. So be sure, hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button too while you're at it. You're already down there. You might as well hit the like button on this one as well. And be sure to use Wanna Parlay. I mean, mentioned them so many times here. It's just a minimum of $2 if you want to place a bet on the app. That's Wanna, WANNA, Wanna Parlay app. If you use the code TRACKS, that's 100% deposit match. They'll give you whatever you deposit up to 250. If you want to really, really gamble on this March tournament, you can bet up to 250 and they'll give you 250 on the house. You can bet 500 right there for just the price of 250. You could go as low as $20 too, as well, if you just want to have a little bit of fun here watching the tournament and must be 18 years or older to play. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER today. If you guys got nothing else, though, I think that'll do it for us.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, everybody. Remember, March is about Cinderella stories, man. Check them out. It should be a really, really fun tournament. I just want to say this before we go. I think, like, the parity outside of the ones and possibly a couple of the twos with the rest of the teams, I think is fantastic in this tournament. And I think it's going to make for some really, really great games. Even though I do believe the seeds were completely wrong on a lot of teams like Gonzaga and Clemson and Purdue, I think they were all underseeded, but I still think we're going to get these awesome matchups. It's the best time of year. Enjoy it, everybody.
yes, indeed. Hey, this is the best time of college basketball. You know, a lot of people they kind of cruise through the regular season, but tournament time gets everybody on their toes. Good luck to everybody, and hope your bracket doesn't bust too soon. I hope you win a lot of money. And good night, everybody.
Good night. Peace and love,
Yeah,
everybody.
good night. Bear down. I kind of forget about the Bears a little bit in there, but we gave them a little bit of love at the beginning. So bear down,
Bear
everybody.
down and rock chalk. Yeet.
Oh.
There you go. MIZ.